Research is a huge area. Data collection is a huge area. And then we have to have the governance systems, which include the laws, the regulating processes. These are some of the challenges that we have to put in place. But it doesn't stop there. Yeah. Once you capture the fish, once you take it out of the water, maintaining its freshness, maintaining its quality is extremely important, and you have to have the systems and the arrangements to do that. And then once you land it, marketing it then becomes a challenge. So there are a number of challenges as you move up the chain, and then fishermen and fish processors, they want to also get the most value. They want to maximize their earnings from these. So we have to be careful to make sure that at each step of the chain, we preserve the quality and the value of the species. And then fish is a highly traded...
And sustainability of it.
We're coming to that too. Yeah. And fish is a highly traded product. And to compete in the international market, you have to be careful. You have to know what you're doing. You have to be organized. You have to have good access and so on. And then you mentioned the challenge of management and conservation to ensure sustainability, a major challenge. As we all know, there are several fish stocks that have been depleted. And globally, our record of conserving and protecting and ensuring sustainable fisheries is not very good. In fact, in many countries in the world, and in some places in the Caribbean region,
now in Belize
stocks have declined.
We have the specific example of open and closed seasons. We have spawning seasons and things. I think that the fact that we, as those who aren't involved in the industry can speak and know about means that there is a general sense of awareness. The lobster season just opened and people celebrate because we know there is a time that we go without. Is this something that, I mean, we always hear of our country and of the fisheries industry here. Is this something that is being capitalized on in other parts of the Caribbean as well, or is it one of the good experiences that we will share?
Yes, well, our countries vary in the extent to which they are able to manage their different resources, lobster, queen conch, snappers, groupers, flying fish, etc. These are all very important resources, and they require specific management plans, management measures, etc. So you mentioned the spiny lobster, because that is one of the very important resources in the region. It's a shared resource, as I mentioned earlier, and we all need to work together. Now, Belize in the region is at the top, I would say, in terms of conservation and management of its important resources, the spiny lobster as well as the queen conch. You mentioned the close season and the minimum size and so on. And these are some of the specific measures that we have in place. For Belize, I would say the big challenge is to ensure compliance with all these measures. And you know, every year we have these challenges, and Belize sends its enforcement officers out to monitor and to make sure that fishers and the processing plants and all who are involved are actually complying with these regulations. Because it's one thing to have these regulations, it's another thing to enforce them and to ensure compliance with them. Now, interestingly, at the regional level, we're actually in the process of the regional agreement so that we have common standards, common principles, common measures, common arrangements to ensure sustainable use of the spiny lobster resources. The agreement is at a fairly advanced stage. It is, I think that by next year, this time, we'll probably have that agreement in place. OSPESCA, the Central American countries, you know, they've put together an agreement, and we're actually building on that in the wider Caribbean region. So, but I tell you what, overall, we still have a long way to go right across the region in improving our systems. There's a big gap between where we are at in the CARICOM region and where we should be based on international best practices, based on the international instruments that have been developed. And so there's an instrument called the Code of Conduct and Responsible Fisheries that sets out in a very comprehensive way the principles, the standards, the arrangements that are needed for long-term sustainable fisheries. And it's a good checklist for us to determine where we are in the process, or well we're doing. And when you check what we're doing in the region generally against those best practices, you realize that there's a big gap and we need to do a lot more. And in fact, I think the countries all recognize that. I think the fisher folk recognize that, and we are slowly moving towards improving our system, strengthening our system. So these are some of the reasons why we have the common fisheries policy, why we are pursuing the common fisheries policy, because at the end of the day, we really, really need to enhance the contribution that our fisheries and marine resources make to our sustainable development. But we have to be extremely careful to do it in a way that is sustainable, because you know, while these resources can make significant contribution to our development, the truth is they can be depleted and destroyed if we do not go about it in a scientific manner, in a structured manner, and in a way that we balance the use and the extraction with the natural productivity and dynamics of the resource.